My goodness. Okay. I have a story, and I need to tell it right now.
You walked in here with the biggest smile I have ever seen. What happened to you?
I just had the best day. Like, genuinely, one of the best days I have had in a very long time. And it was so simple. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, nothing planned, really.
Okay, now I need to know everything.
I spent the day at my friend Sarah's house. That is it. That is the whole thing. And somehow it was just perfect.
You know what? That is actually the best kind of day.
Right? No big plan, no big event, just a friend, a couch, some snacks, and real conversation. I walked in feeling a little tired, and I walked out feeling like a completely new person.
That is the magic of a good friend's house. It does something to you.
It really does. And today, we are going to talk about exactly that. A regular day at a friend's house. The little moments, the small conversations, the funny things that happen, all of it.
Hey everyone, welcome back. You are listening to Mr. English Podcast. I am James.
And I am Emma. And if you are new here, hello and welcome. This is your cozy, relaxed, easy place to practice your English. We talk like real people. We use simple, everyday words, and we make sure every episode feels like a real conversation, not a classroom.
That is the whole idea, because the best way to learn English is to hear it being used naturally in real situations about real-life things.
Exactly. And today's topic is very real, very everyday. Visiting a friend's house. We all do it, we all know that feeling, and there is so much English hiding inside those simple moments.
So before we go any further, if this is your first time here, please do us a small favor. Subscribe to Mr. English Podcast. It takes 2 seconds and it helps us so much. Share this episode with one friend who is also learning English and leave us a comment today. We genuinely read every single one.
We do, and comments make our day. Now, let us get into this story because I have a lot to say and James is already looking very curious.
I am very curious. Start from the beginning.
Okay, so yesterday morning I woke up and I had no real plans, which honestly felt a little strange at first, because usually my weekends are very scheduled. Go here, do this, finish that. But yesterday, nothing.
I love those mornings actually, when there's nothing scheduled.
Me too. And then around 10 in the morning, my phone buzzed. It was Sarah, my friend from college, and she just sent me this message, very short. She said, "Hey, what are you doing today? Want to come over? I made soup."
She led with the soup. Smart woman.
She knows me so well, because the moment I read soup, I was already looking for my shoes. I didn't even think about it. I just texted back, "I'll be there in 40 minutes."
That is the power of a good friendship. No long explanation needed, no let me check my calendar, just yes.
Just yes. And I think that's such a beautiful thing when you have a friend and it's that easy. There's no pressure, no need to dress perfectly or prepare anything. She just said, "Come over," and I just went.
And that feeling starts before you even get there, right? Like just the idea of going to a friend's house already makes you feel better.
100%. I was in a better mood just getting ready to go. I was humming in the car. Humming. I never hum.
Humming is a serious indicator of happiness. Scientific fact.
I'm pretty sure that's true. Okay, so I got to her place and I rang the doorbell, and I could already smell the soup from outside, like actually smell it through the door.
What kind of soup?
Tomato, with bread on the side. I know.
That's a whole experience right there. You haven't even gone inside yet.
I haven't even gone inside yet. And then Sarah opened the door and she looked so relaxed. She was wearing cozy clothes, her hair was just in a messy bun, and she had this big warm smile. And she just said, "You're here. Get in here."
Get in here. That's such a friend phrase. It's not polite in a formal way. It's polite in a love you kind of way.
Exactly. There is a difference. And English learners, pay attention to that. When a close friend says, "Get in here," it means, "I'm so happy you're here. Come inside immediately." It's warm. It's not rude at all.
Context is everything in English. The same words can mean very different things depending on the relationship and the tone.
And her tone was pure joy. So I walked in, and the first thing I did, before I even said anything else, was look down at my feet.
Shoes on or shoes off?
Shoes on or shoes off, because you never know. Every home is different, and I didn't want to assume.
That is such good instinct, honestly. I always check too.
And Sarah looked at me, looked at my shoes, and said, "Oh, please take them off. My floors are freshly mopped, and I'm very proud of them."
She mopped the floors for you.
She mopped the floors for me, which, by the way, is a love language. If someone mops their floors before you arrive, they care about you deeply.
That's going in my notebook. Mopped floors equal deep friendship.
Write it down. So I took my shoes off and I put them neatly by the door. And Sarah actually said, "Perfect, you're already the best guest." And I had just walked in. I had done one thing, one small thing. And she said I was the best guest.
Because small things matter. In somebody's home, the small things say a lot about who you are.
They really do. And English learners, this is such a useful thing to know. When you visit someone's home, ask about the shoes. It shows respect. It shows that you notice the house rules. And it makes a very good first impression.
First impression. That means the feeling someone gets about you in the very first moment they meet you or see you. And yes, something as simple as asking about shoes can create a wonderful first impression.
And it costs nothing. Just a simple, "Should I take my shoes off?" or "Do you want me to remove my shoes?" Very easy, very polite.
Okay, so you're inside, shoes are off, floors are respected. What happens next?
So Sarah led me into her living room, and I just stopped for a second because I hadn't been to her place in a while, maybe 2 or 3 months. And I just looked around, and I noticed little things. A new plant by the window, a stack of books on the coffee table, a little basket of yarn near the couch.
She's knitting now.
Apparently, she started knitting. I did not know this. And immediately I had so many questions because Sarah, knitting? That was not something I expected.
People always surprise you.
They do. And I think that is one of the beautiful things about visiting someone's home. You learn things about them, little things that you would never know if you only ever met at a coffee shop or a restaurant. Their home tells you who they are.
It is like reading a book about a person, but the book is their living room.
I love that. That is exactly what it is. Her bookshelf had all these mystery novels. She had a little corner with candles and a journal. She had fairy lights around the window. And I thought, this is so Sarah. Every single detail.
And when you are in someone's home and you notice these things and you mention them, it makes the person feel seen. It's a small but really meaningful thing to do as a guest.
So I sat down on her couch, which was incredibly soft, by the way, and I said, "Sarah, your place looks so cozy. I love it." And she just lit up. She got this big smile and said, "You really think so? I have been trying to make it feel more like home."
More like home. That phrase. What does it mean exactly?
When someone says they want their place to feel more like home, they mean they want it to feel warm, comfortable, personal, not just a room with furniture, a place that feels like it belongs to them.
And every home has that feeling, right? Or at least every good home does. You walk in and you feel something relaxed, something familiar.
Yes, and Sarah's apartment had that. It was small, it was not perfect. There was a little pile of laundry on the chair in the corner, but it felt alive. It felt like someone actually lived there and loved living there.
That is the best kind of home, not the kind you see in a magazine, the kind where you can actually put your feet up.
And speaking of putting your feet up, Sarah came back from the kitchen with 2 big bowls of soup and some thick slices of bread on the side. And she set them down on the coffee table and said, "Okay, we eat first, we talk later. Those are the rules."
I respect that rule system completely.
I agreed immediately. No argument from me. And we just sat there for a moment, both of us just eating this warm tomato soup, and it was so quiet and so comfortable. And I thought, this is what I needed. I didn't even know I needed it, but this.
That is such a specific kind of peace, eating something warm at a friend's place. It's hard to explain, but everyone knows that feeling.
English learners, I want you to try and remember a moment like that. A moment when you were somewhere simple, doing something small, and you just felt okay. That feeling is what Sarah's soup felt like. And if you have had that feeling, you already understand what we're talking about today.
Okay, now the soup is happening. The bread is there. The conversation starts. What did you two talk about?
Everything and nothing. You know how that is.
The best conversations are like that. You talk about nothing important and somehow it means everything.
We started talking about the knitting. She showed me this little blue scarf she was working on. It was maybe 5 inches long. She had been working on it for 2 weeks.
2 weeks for 5 inches. Dedication.
She said, and I'm quoting her directly here, "It's a process, Emma. Knitting is a journey, not a destination."
She is very wise about her very short scarf.
I almost choked on my soup because she said it with such seriousness, like she was teaching me a life lesson. And maybe she was. Maybe the scarf is not the point. Maybe the sitting quietly and making something with your hands is the point.
That's actually beautiful. And I think a lot of things in life are like that. The process is better than the result.
See, and this is what I love about visiting a friend. You end up having conversations you would never have at a restaurant because there's noise and there are other people and there's a waiter coming every few minutes. But at Sarah's couch with our soup, there was no interruption, just us.
That's such a good point. A friend's home gives you space for the real conversation, the kind that goes deep naturally without you even trying.
And after the soup, we moved to the kitchen to wash the bowls together. And I want to talk about this because I think it's actually a lovely little moment that happens when you're comfortable with someone.
When you help clean up?
When you help clean up. Because I just naturally stood up and started carrying things to the kitchen. And Sarah didn't say, "Oh, you don't have to do that." She just said, "Can you rinse? I'll dry." And we just did it together.
That's a sign of real comfort. When you don't have to be asked and the host doesn't make a big deal about it. You just move together like it's natural.
And I think as a guest, that's such a nice thing to do. You don't have to make a huge effort, but small things like helping carry dishes or folding a blanket or just picking something up off the floor, these things tell the host that you see them, that you respect their space.
And you're not just a visitor, you're a friend. There's a difference.
A visitor sits and waits. A friend just helps.
Okay, so after the kitchen moment, what did you do for the rest of the afternoon?
We went back to the living room. Sarah put on some background music, very soft, nothing too loud, just something gentle in the background. And she said, "Do you want tea or coffee? I also have hot chocolate if you want something more fun."
Hot chocolate is always the fun option.
Always. And I said, "Hot chocolate, obviously." And she said, "Obviously." And we both laughed because we just knew. We've been friends long enough that we know what the other person is going to choose.
That's a specific kind of friendship, when you know someone's preferences like they're your own.
And while she was making the hot chocolate, I sat on the couch and I looked at her bookshelf more closely, and I started reading the titles. And one caught my eye. It was a small, thin book called How to Do Nothing.
How to Do Nothing. That's a real book.
It is a real book, and I picked it up and just read the back. And Sarah came back with the hot chocolate, and she saw me holding it, and she said, "That book changed my life. I'm not even joking."
From a book called How to Do Nothing?
Right? And I said, "Tell me everything." And she sat down next to me and she told me about how she had been feeling very overwhelmed a few months ago, very busy, very stressed. And she read this book and it made her realize that it is okay to stop. It is okay to just sit, to just be somewhere without doing anything productive.
That is actually a really hard thing for a lot of people, especially now. Everyone feels like they need to be busy all the time.
All the time. And Sarah said that is exactly why she started knitting, because it is something she can do with her hands that feels slow and calm. And she said, "The scarf might take me 6 months, but I am okay with that."
I really like Sarah. She sounds very grounded.
She is the most grounded person I know. And I think being in her home for a few hours, some of that energy transferred to me a little.
Like absorbing the calm.
Exactly. We sat there drinking our hot chocolate and we talked about what makes us feel better when life gets heavy. And it was one of those conversations where you finish and you think, I needed that. Not the advice, not the solutions, just the talking and the listening.
And having someone who listens, really listens, without looking at their phone or waiting for their turn to speak, just actually listening.
Sarah is that person. She has always been that person. And being in her home made it even easier, to be honest, because there was no performance, no pretending, just two friends on a couch talking about real things.
I love this story. But I also want to ask, was there any funny moment? Because life is not only warm and deep. Sometimes things are just silly.
Oh, yes, there was a moment.
Tell me.
Okay, so at one point, I was holding my mug of hot chocolate, and I went to put it down on the coffee table, and I missed. Like, the mug just slipped, and hot chocolate went all over the table and a little bit on the carpet, and there was this half second of silence where we both just stared at it.
Oh no.
And then we both started laughing at the exact same time, like hysteria. Neither of us could stop. And Sarah grabbed paper towels from the kitchen, and I was on my knees trying to blot the carpet, and we were both still laughing.
I can picture this perfectly.
And Sarah looked at me, she was on her knees too, with paper towels, and she said, between the laughing, "You know, this is why I did not get a white carpet."
She planned for you.
She absolutely planned for this exact scenario. And then I said, "Should I be offended?" And she said, "No, I love you. That is why I planned ahead."
That is actually the sweetest thing. She chose her carpet with the knowledge that Emma visits.
I do not whether to be touched or concerned. But we got it cleaned up, the carpet was fine, and we sat back down, and Sarah refilled my hot chocolate and said, "Okay, now you are holding this with two hands."
House rules, implemented immediately.
New house rule for Emma: two hands on the mug at all times. I followed it for the rest of the visit.
Good guest behavior.
Very good guest behavior. Learned the hard way.
Okay, so after the hot chocolate incident, the day started getting later, right? At some point you had to leave. How did that part go?
So around 5 in the afternoon, the light outside started turning that golden color. You know, the late afternoon light that makes everything look a little warmer.
The golden hour.
The golden hour. And I looked outside and I thought, I should probably start thinking about heading home. And I did not want to leave. I genuinely did not want to leave. But I also knew that staying too long is its own problem.
Right, because at some point the visit is done, and if you stay past that point, it starts to feel different.
And I didn't want to overstay my welcome, which is a phrase worth knowing. To overstay your welcome means to stay at someone's home longer than is comfortable, longer than the visit naturally needs to be.
And it's not always about time. Sometimes a 2-hour visit is perfect and a 4-hour visit is too long. It depends on the energy of the day.
Exactly. And yesterday, the day had a natural ending at around 5. I could feel it. The conversation had gotten a little quieter. We were both a little tired in that good, satisfied way. And I stood up and I said, "Sarah, I should get going. I don't want to overstay."
And what did she say?
She said, "You're not overstaying, but I understand." And that's such a beautiful response, I think. She didn't force me to stay. She didn't say, "Oh, come on, 5 more minutes," in a way that made me feel guilty for leaving. She just said, "I understand." And that felt so respectful.
Because she trusted you to know when it was time. That's a mature friendship.
And then I started looking for my things, my phone, my bag, my jacket that was on the chair. And Sarah walked with me to the door, and I put my shoes back on, which, by the way, I did neatly and carefully because I respected the floors.
The freshly mopped floors.
The freshly mopped floors deserved that courtesy. And at the door, we hugged. A real hug, not a quick one. And I said, "Thanks for having me. This was exactly what I needed." And she held the hug for an extra second and said, "Come back soon. The soup is always on."
Ah, that is such a good friend.
The best. And I walked to my car and I sat in it for a moment before I drove. And I just thought about the day. The soup, the scarf, the hot chocolate incident, the quiet conversation, the golden light, and I felt full. Not just from the soup, but full in a different way.
Full in your heart.
Full in my heart. and I drove home humming again.
I think what I love about this story is how small everything was. There was no big event, no special occasion, no party or celebration, just a regular day, and it was meaningful.
That's maybe the most important part of the whole story. The ordinary day is actually extraordinary. We just have to slow down enough to notice it.
And I think a lot of English learners can connect to this because this kind of visit, going to a friend's house, happens everywhere in the world, in every culture.
The small details are different, but the feeling is the same. The feeling of being welcome, of being comfortable, of being able to just be yourself in someone else's space. That's universal.
And the English around it is very usable, very daily. You don't need complicated words to talk about a day like this. You just need the real words, the simple ones.
Like, come in and make yourself comfortable, like, help yourself to the snacks, like, I should get going, like, thanks for having me. These are not textbook phrases. These are real things real people say.
And when you practice them, you are not just learning English, you are learning how people connect with each other.
Which is really what language is for. Connection. Making people feel seen and welcome and comfortable. That is the whole job of language.
So, let us talk about a few of those little moments and phrases more closely, because Emma's story had a lot of them, and I want to make sure everyone caught them.
Good idea. Let us go through some of the key moments.
Okay, first one. When Emma arrived and Sarah opened the door and said, "Get in here." We talked about this briefly, but I want to expand on it a little, because as a beginner English learner, you might hear something like that and feel confused because it sounds a little strong, right?
It does sound strong. Get in here is 3 very direct words, but the tone and the relationship change the meaning completely. When a close friend says it with a smile and a laugh, it means, I am so excited you are here. Come inside right now because I cannot wait.
So, how do you know the difference between a phrase that sounds strong but is warm and the phrase that sounds strong and is actually rude?
The face, the tone, the relationship. If your close friend is smiling, eyes bright, voice high and happy, and they say, get in here, that is love. If a stranger says it with a flat voice and serious face, that's different.
Context is your best teacher. Always pay attention to the face and the voice, not just the words.
And as a guest, you can also say things like, your place looks great, or I love what you have done here, or even something simple like, this feels really cozy. These are easy phrases, but they mean so much to a host.
Because you are saying, I see your home, I notice it, I appreciate it, and that makes a person feel proud of their space.
And you don't need to be a poet about it. Simple is perfect. This is so cozy is enough. I love this little corner is enough. Your place feels so warm is enough.
Real people use simple words, and simple words land deeply.
Then there's the moment when the host offers food or a drink. Sarah said tea, coffee, or hot chocolate, and Emma obviously chose hot chocolate. But as a guest, it's nice to answer clearly, not too politely where you keep refusing but secretly want something.
The polite refusal dance, where the guest says, no, I'm fine, but really they want the tea very much.
And the host has to offer 3 times, and finally the guest gives in. Very specific cultural experience.
In American culture, generally, if someone offers and you want it, you just say, yes, please. That's the comfortable and direct answer. It makes the host's life easier.
So if someone says, do you want tea? You can say, yes, please. That would be lovely. Or, yes, thank you. Or even just, tea would be great, thanks. Simple and clear.
And if you don't want anything, you can say, I'm good, thank you, or I'm okay for now, or maybe in a little bit, thank you. All of these are polite and natural.
And then there's the moment of leaving, which I think a lot of English learners find tricky, because you don't want to leave too suddenly, but you also don't want to make a big dramatic exit.
So what is the right way to leave a friend's house?
Give a small signal first, something like, I should probably start thinking about heading out soon, or I don't want to keep you too late. This gives the host a heads up. It says the visit is ending, but there's no rush. You're not standing up and running for the door.
And then when you're actually ready to go, you say something like, I should get going, or I'm going to head out, or I should let you rest.
And as you leave, always say thank you. It doesn't have to be long. Thanks for having me, or this was really lovely, or thank you so much for today are all perfect.
And the host will usually say something like, so glad you came, or come back soon, or drive safe. Simple, warm, complete.
The ending of a visit is just as important as the beginning. Leave well, and the friendship grows.
You know, I want to add something from my own experience, because this topic is making me remember a visit I had not too long ago.
Oh, please share. I want to hear this.
Okay, so I went to visit my friend Derek, and Derek is the kind of person who always has exactly the right thing in his home. Like, you walk in and everything is just perfectly placed. Very neat, very clean, very organized.
Intimidating energy.
A little intimidating at first, because I walked in and immediately I was afraid to touch anything, like I was in a museum. A very comfortable museum, but still.
What did you do?
I sat down very carefully, and I was holding my bag in my lap because I didn't know where to put it. And Derek looked at me and he said, James, relax. This is not a hotel. Just drop your bag anywhere.
Drop your bag anywhere. Permission granted.
And that one sentence changed everything for me, because he saw that I was a little stiff, and he named it. He gave me permission to relax, and I did. I just let go of the tension, and I dropped my bag on the floor, and I sat back, and suddenly I was comfortable.
That's such a good host move, noticing when a guest is not relaxed and doing something small to fix it.
And I think, as a guest, it's also okay to tell the host, I love your place, it's so nice, I'm afraid to touch anything. Because most hosts will laugh and immediately tell you to relax, and then you can.
Honesty is always a good icebreaker, even in small social situations.
And Derek, like Sarah, was also a snack person. He had this whole section of his coffee table that was just snacks, like he had prepared a selection, a snack selection.
A curated snack experience.
That's exactly what it was, curated. And he said, I didn't know what you would want, so I just got a few things. And there were maybe 8 different options.
A few things, 8 items, very casual about it.
That's generous hospitality disguised as low effort, and I love it. And the thing is, we ended up talking the whole afternoon about work, about life, about plans, about fears, about all kinds of things, and none of it was planned. It all just came out naturally because the setting was right.
The setting was right. That is so important. When you are in the right place with the right person, the conversation just flows. You do not have to try to make it happen.
And I left Derek's place thinking the same thing Emma thought when she left Sarah's. That was exactly what I needed.
So simple, so necessary.
You know what I think is the bigger lesson inside all of this?
Tell me.
It is that connection is not expensive. It does not require a plan or a perfect house or special food or the right occasion. It just requires 2 people who want to be together and a space that feels safe.
And a little soup helps.
Soup definitely helps, but the soup is not the point. The soup is just the soup.
The point is the person, always. The soup is just the vehicle.
And for our English learners who are listening, you do not need perfect English to connect with people. You need real English, simple English, the kind you use when you are comfortable, the kind where you're not performing or trying to impress, just talking.
And honestly, the phrases we use in these easy, everyday moments are the most important ones. Not the complicated vocabulary, not the formal grammar, the small, warm, simple things. Come in, make yourself comfortable. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad you came.
These are the phrases that build friendships, in English and in every language.
And practicing them, even in your head, even while listening to a podcast on a bus or in your kitchen, that practice matters. Every time you hear a natural phrase and you think, oh, I could use that, it is going in your brain. It is going to come out when you need it.
That is exactly how language works. Not memorizing, absorbing, slowly, naturally, one conversation at a time.
One soup bowl at a time.
One soup bowl at a time. I love that.
Okay, before we wrap up today, I want to ask our listeners a question, and I really, truly want to hear your answers in the comments.
Yes, let us hear from you.
When you visit a friend's house, what is your favorite part of that visit? Is it the food? Is it the conversation? Is it just being somewhere comfortable with someone you trust? Or is it something else? Something small and specific that we haven't mentioned today?
Maybe it's the moment you take your shoes off. Maybe it's the first cup of something warm. Maybe it's that quiet moment when you both run out of things to say, but it doesn't feel awkward at all. Just peaceful.
Tell us. We genuinely want to know. And if you have a funny story about a visit to a friend's house, please share it, because we could all use more stories like that in our day.
And one more thing before we go. If you're enjoying Mr. English Podcast, please subscribe. It's free, it takes 1 second, and it tells us that what we're doing here matters to you.
And share this episode with someone who is learning English, or with someone who just needs a reminder today that the simple moments are the good ones, that a couch and a friend and a bowl of soup can be a whole beautiful day.
And leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what you want us to talk about next. We're building this thing together, this little English corner, and every one of you is a part of it.
Every single one.
This is James.
And this is Emma.
And you've been listening to Mr. English Podcast, where every episode feels like a real conversation because it is one.
Get home safe, take your shoes off, make yourself some soup, and we'll talk again very soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.